On this week's episode of Marketing O'Clock,
Bing has a special announcement on schema support.
We talked about the new and improved asset reporting for Google Ads app campaigns.
Greg's super hip, not heavy jargon was definitely on fleek with the youth.
It was poppin'. Shep blamed it all on the algorithm, of course.
And Greg's coworker received a citation from HR for having a potty mouth at work.
All on today's show.
Marketing O'Clock is your weekly dose of digital marketing news, a proud part of the Search Engine Journal Podcast Network. We record every week from the Cypress North Studios located in beautiful Buffalo, New York. Tune in to our critically acclaimed Famous Friday news show for insights, updates, rants, and much more as we cover the full gamut of digital marketing for you. If you want to follow along, just check out our show notes or head over to marketingoclock.com for all of the links from today's articles. And please subscribe so you don't miss a single episode.
Hey there, I'm Greg Finn,
I'm Christine Zernheld.
aka Shep,
And I'm Jess Budd.
And it is officially Marketing O'Clock.
here on March 27th, 2020.
Remember, you can catch our Famous Friday news show each and every Friday morning.
All of your digital marketing news from the week.
Powered by the digital marketing community.
Join us in the conversation. We are at Marketing O'Clock everywhere.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We're doing this for the second straight week from self-quarantine or just, I guess, mandated quarantine, and we're working on hopefully a little better audio this week. Thanks for bearing with us. I know we didn't get too much hate from last week's show, and we're going to keep on improving it. It's just funny. It's right after we built a brand new studio with real mics and brand new desks. Now we are back to the drawing board. Another thing that is not at the drawing board, it is off the board. It is on the wall, ready to hang the art that is the new Marketing O'Clock website. And in case you haven't heard any of the news, there's been some happenings going on, and we've had a little more time in our hands than usual. Our very clean hands, I might add. And we've launched marketingoclock.com, a new site. It's surprisingly difficult. Jess, what are your thoughts? I thought it was surprisingly difficult to make a really good podcast site.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's so different than making just a website for the sake of a website, right? A podcast site is very specific, the things that you need, and we wanted to make sure that our listeners had great show notes to look at too. So that I think that's probably my favorite thing about the new site, but it was very, very difficult to figure out the best way to tackle that. But I think we did a good job. So I hope everyone enjoys it.
Yep. So head on over to marketingclock.com. I think the biggest benefit is we broke up all the different links. I know we cover a lot of stuff here. It's going to be a lot easier to consume all those links and get to where you want to go faster. And you can play right from the, any part of the site and subscribe to your favorite podcast player. And please do that. Please subscribe. So how's your quarantine or mandated quarantine, y'all? How are you doing?
It's been going. I'm just learning a lot about my new coworker, my husband. One of the biggest challenges we had so far, we started a puzzle and we went through all 1,000 pieces. I thought everyone goes through a puzzle and picks out the edges first. And I looked at his pile and he had a lot of other things.
Oh my goodness. How did you not know this before you entered nuptials with this person? What a psycho.
He said he didn't know how to do puzzles. And he said he thought we were looking for all similar colors.
Oh my. One thing we do here at Cypress North, the agency that runs Marketing Clock, we have a funny channel where we do Overheard at the Office, and it's just people's kids or what's happening with their dog, and we could just call them coworkers. It's like a little meme that we've got kind of going on, and Shep and I were on a call earlier this week, and one of my coworkers rudely interrupted me and Shep and asked if he could poo. So it's a weird new world, everyone, but cool. Jess, who's our sponsor this week?
This week's episode of Marketing O'Clock is brought to you by Ahrefs. Whether you work for a big brand, run your own small business, or do freelance work, getting traffic to your website is always an issue. Ahrefs is an all-in-one SEO toolset that solves that problem. It gives you the tools you need to rank your website in Google and get tons of search traffic. If you want to learn more, check out their blog or YouTube channel for step-by-step SEO tutorials.
They have a 7-day trial for only $7. Head on over to ahrefs.com to sign up. That is ahrefs.com to sign up. And if you're wondering why it's 7 days for $7, Tim over at Ahrefs put out a really fascinating video on YouTube and broke down the rationale behind it. So we'll put that in our brand spanking new show notes over at marketingclock.com if you want to check it out. But try that today. 7 days, $7, Ahrefs.com.
And today's show is also sponsored by Optio. Optio helps Google Ads managers automate time-consuming manual tasks so they can spend more time on high-level strategy and creative work. Optimize accounts, monitor performance, track budgets, and get alerts when important changes happen.
Right now, our listeners can get a 6-week free trial of Optio. Go to optio.com/SEJ. That's opteo.com/SEJ.
And first up in the news this week, Google Ads rolled out new asset reporting features for app campaigns. So as you know, Google rates assets as low, good, or best for app campaigns, which is not very helpful because advertisers don't know why something was rated what it was rated. Well, now you'll be able to hover over a rating, and Google will give you tool tips or recommendations of actions you should take with that specific asset. So I thought this sounded really cool, like it was going to give us some nice, insightful data. But the screenshot they have in this report makes me a little bit less excited. All it says when you hover over it is, this asset is one of your best performing assets of its type. Adding more assets like this one could increase your chances of better ad performance. That's like the same as just rating it best. Like, what's the point of that?
Yeah, I want more data.
There's other good things, though. So they're also adding 2 new columns to the ad group report. The first is source. You'll be able to see if you forgot whether you uploaded them or not. The second is orientation. So you can see that if that asset is landscape, portrait, or square from the report, because they rate the different assets for images against each other based on their orientation. And they're also adding performance charts that will allow you to see performance changes for your assets over time. So you'll be able to select a date range and metrics and see on this chart, you know, how the performance changed. And finally, they're launching an ad preview tool so you can see ad samples and how your combinations of assets may appear to users. So I know this isn't the same thing, but I wasn't a gamer at all before this quarantine, and now
Wait,
I'm home alone.
What? You weren't a gamer before the quarantine?
I know, it must shock you. But I have gotten into Words with Friends on the off hours, and I am just appalled at these in-app ads.
Can I just stop you quick?
Yes.
The fact that you said you weren't a gamer before the quarantine, and then you paused, and I was thinking maybe you're like, oh, Red Dead Redemption, a little history, something like that. Maybe you're like Uncharted, you know, maybe it's maybe you're like Minecraft, whatever those the whippersnappers play these days. And you say Words with Friends like you're a gamer? How dare you, Shep?
Yeah.
Shep, I was going to say that exact thing, but I'm kind of on your side because I think being a gamer is cool, and my game of choice is Candy Crush, so I'm on your level. We're all
Are
gamers.
you still playing Candy Crush, Jess?
Absolutely.
Oh my God. You were playing Candy
7
Crush
years
when you started 7 years ago at Cypress North.
Yeah, but I stopped giving them my money a long time ago.
Yeah, that was like 6
So
years.
now I just play for free. Yeah.
Are those apps as egregious as these Words with Friends ads?
Candy Crush actually has a really nice interface, so no, but I play some other, I game in other areas as well, and the in-app ads are pretty bad.
You're like 30 seconds, non-skippable. The sound comes on even if your phone is on vibrate. It's so terrible. And you just realize how many people don't turn off apps in their display ads. Like I get so many things that have no business being on Words with Friends.
Wow.
Anyway, there's my rant for
the trials and tribulations of Shep and her gaming life.
What else is happening this week?
Up next here, Bing has announced 2 new APIs that will give webmasters the ability to have new and updated content be indexed on Bing pretty much instantly, which is awesome. The first of those APIs is called the URL Submission API, and it lets sites submit an API call, which will notify Bing that content has been created or updated so that Bing can then crawl that URL. So this API is available now for anyone whose site is verified in Bing Webmaster Tools, which is not hard to do. And it's getting really positive feedback from folks that have already tested it. They're noting that they're seeing their content in the Bing SERPs within minutes. So one testimonial specifically said, "This is sick, guys," which is something that I feel like you really don't say unless you mean it. So Seems like it's working pretty well for folks. And the benefits of this, obviously, for huge sites with tons of pages are very clear. I mean, you can get your content updated instantly. But this API, like Peloton, is for anyone who wants it. So small sites can benefit too. Getting your content indexed faster is never a bad thing. So if you want it, you're one of those folks, just log into Bing Webmaster Tools to generate an API key. And if you need instructions for how to do that, Bing did release a blog post about it, and we could toss that link in the show notes.
Is that the slogan of Peloton for anybody who wants it?
I don't think so, but it was a promo they were doing for a long time where they were like, it's not for everyone, but it's for anyone that wants it.
Oh, I missed that.
No, it was on television. It was like a Hulu ad I was seeing. You guys didn't see that one?
Never.
No, I missed it.
Oh,
I saw the one with the girl that made a video of herself biking.
Yeah, it's not that one.
Oh.
It's the one with the girl. She comes in out of the rain, and it's been like a hard day, and she goes on her Peloton even though she was at work and stressed out. You guys don't know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I think I do actually.
Yeah, it's subtle nuance, but I thought it was good marketing. So obviously not, because you guys didn't catch it. But the second of these APIs that Bing announced is called the Content Submission API. It's essentially the same thing as the URL one, except you're submitting the content directly to Bing rather than a URL to be crawled. So that one is still in the pilot phase, but if you want to request access, you can. You just go to Bing Webmaster Tools support, and we'll have that link in the show notes as well if you want access to that. So cool stuff. I love when things work faster.
If you think about it, a fake bike that you have to ride inside that isn't a real bike, it's pretty stupid. Like if you just think about it and pretend you're not a human, you're an alien, and you think like you could have a real bike and you could maybe put it up on casters or something and have it like spin, and then you could take it off and ride it around. You ever think like that? Like how an alien would view a Peloton. You have a fake bike that can't transport you anywhere, that you watch a TV screen on, you have to pay monthly, and it cannot move you from point A to point B.
It's a treadmill of bikes.
People are buying them now. Like, the weather's starting to warm up. We should be riding our bikes outside at this point.
Well, it's for anyone who wants it. If you don't want it, you don't have to get it.
Also, Peloton fans, I mean, man, they're fanatics. So, good on them. Good on them. All right, next up, we have a special announcement from Bing. Bing is now supporting the special announcement data type for coronavirus-related business, travel, government health, agency, and testing center updates. So if you have any kind of schema that relates to COVID-19, Bing will now support that. You can see the full markup over on schema.org. A few highlights that are on there that you may be able to make more apparent in the search engine results pages are travel bans. If you are a COVID testing facility, getting tested information, anything that's a public transport closure, there's quite a bit of information. This is in the open graph type. It's a thing, it's creative work, and it's special announcement. There's also school closure information, some guidelines and things like that. So anytime you can make it easier on folks to see what's happening right in the search engine results pages, I'm all for it. And Bing is now supporting the special announcement. One thing that might help though is what if you had something where do you have tests? Because I know we're in Buffalo, and Buffalo doesn't have any tests. And we might have testing facilities, but we have the lowest test rate in New York, probably because New York City is such a mess at this moment.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what they would use this for. They would just say, no, there are still no tests here. You're out of luck.
Yeah, you can just put that up there permanently here at Buffalo. Oh well, hopefully it turns around soon. What's up next, Shep?
And next up, Pinterest launched a Today tab this week. So there's the Home tab that we all know that shows personalized recommendations when you open the app. It's not very personalized for me. Mine are all really garbagey, and the algorithm seems to be messed up.
Don't blame this on the algorithm, Shep. Don't blame this on the algorithm. It goes off what you're looking at. I know your Facebook Marketplace history. I know you, and I'm guessing that they are right, and you are just passing it off. Don't you dare blame that algorithm.
No, they're not like that at all. They're like weird workouts that I would never do, and
What?
organization tips.
Wait. Weird workouts that you would never do. This is the same chef that was just 3 months ago. You're talking about an 80-minute German workout where I watched it.
I didn't do it.
This person sweated through his entire shirt. Everybody was dripping on there. So I agree with Pinterest. I am Team Pinterest.
Okay, whatever. Well, if you don't want just your recommendations and you want to see what the world is looking at for the day, this new tab will appear on top of the home feed on iOS and Android apps, and it will be a hub for daily inspiration, trending posts, and curated topics. This is perfect timing for this new feature because Pinterest also reported that traffic has surged to the site while people are at home under quarantine. And this really reminds me of the new Netflix feature, which shows like the top 10 things in the country that day. I've been loving it, and that's how I found Tiger King, which you guys need to watch. Have you seen it?
No, I've just seen the preview for it.
Okay, well, highly recommend. Maybe we'll talk about it next week. So Pinterest's editorial team and guest editors will select items to feature in the new tab, and plans to feature expert information from the World Health Organization and Centers for Disease Control on COVID-19 prevention, so that'll be great. And they also added compassionate search to their website. It was already on the app, but this feature helps users find activities that support emotional well-being. So seems like Pinterest is doing a lot to help people during this time, which is great.
All right, next up, we've got our new feature here, Good Vibes and Marketing Wins. And this is something we're going to talk about each week where somebody's maybe won some business, had something great happen to them. And first we have a tweet from Cecilia Montague, at Cecilia Montague on Twitter. And she says, "Your show is helping me to stay positive. I'm a student of DM in Ireland." And this is just me interjecting here. I think that means digital marketing. Not a scientist, but pretty sure that's what it means. And she continues to say, "Who can't sit the exam because of lockdown. I find Marketing O'Clock funny. It'll be interesting to see the outcome of the pandemic on the global market. Will it increase our dependency on social?" So,
and we did not pay Cecilia to say this.
Absolutely not. And she's got bad funny. I mean, that's debatable. That's debatable. All right. Next up is from Christine. Have you ever heard of this person, Shep? At Shep Zernheld on Twitter.
Yeah, I have.
And she said, "I will," all caps, "I will finish a big content piece I've been working on since October. Anyone else have any good news to share?"
Yeah. And I'd say our new site is good news too.
Yeah, it's great news. I don't know who you're waiting for this content piece. Is somebody holding you up? Oh, it's me.
No.
I'll get that done. All right, and another win, because that was all we had this week. So each week we'll put this out there, keep spirits up, and keep the good vibes flowing.
Now it's time for this week's Take of the Week. This is a #fire digital marketing take with extra spice served up for you.
We simply deliver the take for your consumption.
We give no opinions. We don't influence.
You make the call.
And this week's Take of the Week comes from Rand Fishkin, at RandFish on Twitter, from Spark Toro. And he has a post called "Marketing Right Now is Bleeping Hard." And really he uses a pound sign, a dollar sign, a percentage sign, an asterisk. But he's saying it's heckin' hard is what he's trying to say. And the reason that I have it in here is I just love one of the memes that he's got. I think it's from Despicable Me.
It's Gru.
And so it's Gru from Despicable Me. And there's 4 slides. Slide 1. Everyone uses the internet because the pandemic keeps us home. Slide 2. Businesses cut marketing to save money in an uncertain time. Slide 3. Traffic, conversions, and sales fall. And then he just looks back at it. Traffic, conversions, and sales fall. I don't know how that plays. But check it out.
The only thing that would have made that better is if you did it in Gru's voice, but I guess if you don't know his name, you're not going to know his accent. So
What is his accent? Can you do it?
no, I don't know. I'm nervous to do an accent.
I mean, I think that you're just begging, you're pleading. I can hear it in your voice. You want to give it to the people. So give the people what they want. Let's hear it, Shep.
I really don't know if I can do it. He's kind of like Russian-y. He's the bad guy, so he's like, I really can't do it.
Like Dracula? Like everyone uses the internet. Like that?
That's totally him.
Okay, well, anyway, so one thing, I don't know if I necessarily agree with Rand on, but I think it will be very interesting to see play out. Rand had screenshotted himself responding to a tweet saying that "I'm scared for events. I think it might be a decade or more before people feel as comfortable traveling and paying to attend IRL. And I don't know about that. I think working from home is great, but there's also, I think we're going to see a lot more of how important it is to be around people. At least that's what I hope. I mean, yeah, there's a pandemic going on, but being around people, I think there's a big positive there.
Yeah, I agree 100%. That was the first thing I saw when I read this is like, yeah, maybe for a minute people will be afraid, but I don't think it's going to take 10 years before people want to hang out with each other again. I feel like now more than ever we realize how important that human connection is, and people are still, they're standing at the end of their driveways and waving at their neighbors, and maybe they didn't even do that before. So I'm with you, Greg. I feel like maybe this is more of a short-term problem than long-term.
Yeah, and we've got 18 people here at our company, and we do, at least on the marketing side, we do daily virtual meetings. And it's very nice to do those virtually daily, at least in my opinion. There's still something to just being around people. I think, at least I hope, that being so isolated will let us know that human interaction is important. I hope that's a small blip on the event space. But anyway, it's a great article, so check it out.
And now it's time for this week's ICYMI.
This is something that you just might not have seen,
Maybe something you overlooked.
but you shouldn't have.
Okay, people, ICYMI, the Queen of Spice, Pamela Lund, at Pamela_Lund, tweeted, if you are making major targeting changes to existing ad campaigns right now, do yourself a favor and document what you've changed so you don't have to try to figure out in 3 months when you need to get things back to how they were. So, very good advice from her. I think this is not just for targeting. If you're having to scale back spend in any way or turn off certain campaigns, make sure you document like what's working, anything you were about to try and you didn't get the opportunity. Just like keep notes of everything.
Yeah, and this is the time where there's going to be a lot of volatility in general with just search trends, conversion rates, everything is going to be it's going to be altered. And so if you either annotate in GA, use notes in Google Ads, we've been doing that just a bunch across the board, and we put everything in, and then we alert ourselves and we give ourselves future Asana tasks to go back and check this in a month, and then check in a month later. All that stuff is really, really, really important because it's easy, especially now when people are concerned that you just want to get something done and move to the next task. That extra 30 seconds, that extra minute is going to be so valuable to you when we're talking here in September. You're going to be so glad that you did what you did here in March.
Now it's time for this week's lightning round.
Pew, pew.
At this point in the show, we split up our content into 3 parts: paid, organic, and social.
This week's paid lightning round is brought to you by Optio.
Optio makes managing Google Ads accounts simple and efficient. It automates time-consuming manual tasks so you can spend more time on strategic or creative work. Optio is like another set of eyes, a really good set of eyes, like a fantastic 2015 set of eyes on your account. I forward all the emails to Optio that Optio gives to our staff. And I think one of the really important things is the daily updates that you get on your accounts, especially if you've lost some team members, especially if you're not as staffed as you can, especially if you're remote. Optio is the tool to use. Jess, how do you use Optio?
So I definitely use it as that extra set of eyes because it will scan your campaigns. And if you have any master negative lists that you might be using account wide, it will detect whether or not you're using them across all campaigns. And it'll flag it to you if one of those negative lists isn't applied to one of your campaigns. And it'll let you know. So you can then, right from the interface, add that negative list to your campaign directly, or maybe it's not supposed to be there, but something else is, and it jogs your memory. You can go in and apply different negative lists from Optio, again, without going into Google Ads. So that's something we use a lot here for sure, is master negative lists. And I have definitely had some times where I fired up a new campaign without one of the lists that should have been on it, and Optio has saved me. So definitely grateful for those extra eyes, which they're not real eyes, but I'm definitely grateful for those extra eyes on my account.
To learn more and get a 6-week free trial of Optio, go to optio.com/SEJ. That's OPTEO.com/SEJ.
And here's what's happening in the paid universe this week. Google announced they are updating their advertising policies. So this is a little bit of a boring story, so I'm just going to quote from the article to make sure I get everything straight. So they're prohibiting the promotion of documents or services that facilitate the acquisition, renewal, replacement, or lookup of official documents or information that is available directly from the government. So examples of these documents include passports, proof of residency, proof of immigration status, driver's licenses, social security cards, hunting or fishing licenses. So basically, like, just don't advertise anything boring and you're okay.
Shep, we've been waiting for some CCPA updates or something just so riveting, and thank you.
We'll get there.
We get a lot of complaints that you just don't have the hot news, but that one will really get all those people satiated there.
Yeah. So the policy will also prohibit promotions for assistance with applying for or paying for official or public services that are directly available from the government, including benefits, name change, paying for bridge tolls, etc. All this made me think of was there's this company that will like help you change your name when you get married, as if it's that hard, and they wouldn't be able to do their ads. Boring stuff.
Who needs help paying for bridge tolls, though? Is that a thing?
Actually, Jess, one time, pretty recently, I wanted to rent a truck from Home Depot, but they were out. So I rented a truck from Lowe's to get a piece of furniture from Facebook Marketplace on Grand Island. And if you guys don't know, because you're not from this area, you have to go over Grand Island Bridge. It's the scariest bridge in the world. Like, it can't be safe. And we're approaching the bridge, and I'm like, are you kidding me? We don't have Easy Pass. And it's cashless, so we just had to go through it. Like, so I feel like I would need help.
Fair enough. Okay, I stand corrected. Also, those bridges are terrifying. I have had recurring nightmares about them. So, yeah. They're also in A Quiet Place, too, right?
Yeah, I think they are.
I don't know,
Is that
but
the movie? They shot on those bridges.
It's a few ticks less than a 90-degree angle, those bridges. It's crazy.
Just drives over it every day. Next up, new data shows that e-commerce ad spending jumped from 4.8 million the week of February 17th to 9.6 million the week of March 9th. Merchants have reported e-commerce sales exceeding rates of Black Friday and Cyber Monday levels, and this unplanned spike has caused fulfillment issues for companies. For example, Amazon is hiring 100,000 workers to meet the demand, which is awesome. And for this reason, people are expecting e-commerce advertising to fall in the coming weeks as sellers won't be able to restock their inventory. I also think that part of the reason it might fall is because people were buying like panic things. Like, I just had to buy this puzzle. Like, did you guys have any Amazon purchases like that?
Trying to think. No, I mean baby wipes, but we needed them anyway.
No,
Not
I haven't
nearly
bought
as fun
anything
as a
crazy.
puzzle.
I was pretty prepared for all this somehow.
That's because you already were crazy and you like had it all.
That's factually correct. So I'm trying to think of anything.
I bought like so many candles.
Why?
What on earth are you gonna do with candles?
I'm home all day, like I needed to smell nice.
Oh, I thought you were afraid the power was going to go out.
Shep, we should have an alternative quarantine with Shep podcast where you talk about all the things you buy, like all the necessities. There's wants and there's needs, and I mean candles are definitely a need. So I want to hear more about your quarantine planning.
I think it'd be a great separate podcast. And next up, you asked for it, Greg. We've been talking too much about COVID-19, so we need to refocus to the exciting news. We got to talk about the California Consumer Privacy Act, or CCPA.
Oh my goodness, do you know how much our listenership is going to increase here? I'm so excited.
So if you're a new listener, I'll catch you up quick. There is this mysterious man. His name is Alistair McTaggart. It was a dark and stormy night, and he started this movement. Some people see him as a hero, and some people see him as a villain. And he started the movement for this new law, which went into effect January, that says certain websites must give Californians the option to opt out of the sale of their data. And everyone is scrambling to figure out what exactly counts as selling data and how they can allow users to opt out of that if they need to. So the latest plot twist is that influential marketing groups are asking the California Attorney General for a temporary forbearance until January 2nd, 2021, as marketers deal with the ongoing health and economic worries caused by coronavirus. So I guess this did turn into a coronavirus story again anyway, but very exciting things happening here in paid. And next, Maryland approved a law that imposes a 10% sales tax on every digital marketing ad sold by the big boys like Google and Facebook. This includes banner ads, search ads, and, quote, other comparable services. So the law applies to smaller companies as well, but they would have a lower tax rate based on their annual global gross revenues. This law only applies to ads seen by Maryland citizens, but a copycat bill was introduced in New York last week, and they're working on something similar in Nebraska as well. For banner ads that are paid ahead of time, the tax would be applied at the time of the sale, regardless of if anyone in Maryland actually sees the ad. So that has people up in arms. And people are also saying that the law violates the Permanent Internet Tax Freedom Act. Do you guys know all about that one?
Oh, the PITFA?
Of course it has an acronym. Okay, well, let me tell you. It was enacted by Congress to prohibit states from imposing discriminatory taxes on e-commerce. So that's it for paid. Lots of legal news.
Sounds like a PITA, if you ask me. A pain in the neck.
Oh! I'm just thinking about food.
This week's Organic Lightning Round is brought to you by Ahrefs.
Ahrefs makes competitive analysis easy. Their tools show you how your competitors are getting traffic from Google and why. You can see the pages and content that send them the most search traffic. Find out the exact keywords they're ranking for and which backlinks are helping them rank. From there, you can replicate or improve on their strategies. And I can vouch for this. I get so many emails talking about lost backlinks, gained backlinks. If you are in the backlink game, you need Ahrefs. And if you're not getting significant search traffic, they can help you find topics worth creating pages or content on. You can easily see estimated search volumes and gauge traffic potential with their Keywords Explorer tool. If you are getting search traffic, use features like their top pages report to break down which of your pages are bringing in the most traffic, then figure out how you can replicate this success. Shep, how do you use Ahrefs?
So I love using Ahrefs for keyword research because a lot of other keyword research tools, all of them, will tell you monthly search volume, but Ahrefs takes it a step further with a couple of other metrics. So first of all, they'll tell you how many of those average monthly searches actually resulted in a click, and they also report clicks per search, or CPS, which is the ratio of clicks the keyword search volume generated. And they also report the return rate, which is a relative value that indicates how often the same person searches for a given keyword over a 30-day period. So this is all really valuable information that you can use to research and create some awesome new content.
And they have a 7-day trial for only $7. Head on over to ahrefs.com to sign up. That is ahrefs.com. And you can see the full insight as to why it's $7 for 7 days on their YouTube channel, which is a must follow as well.
And what is happening in organic this week?
Well, first off, do y'all use Google Podcasts?
Never in my life.
No.
I forced myself to, mainly because I want to try to give us that extra credit, I guess, for Google Podcasts. And I on Android, there's not a great podcast platform. I've tried everything. I've bought many premium platforms out there. Nothing is great. The new changes to Google Podcasts is not bad. It's not bad. It kind of reminds me a little bit, though, of Stories in the top, because now you'll see your podcast in like a horizontal scroll at the top. If there's a new story, there will be a red mark on the upper right.
I thought you were going to say it reminded you of Stories because you hated it.
No, I'm trying to get back into Stories. I'm trying to since all this COVID stuff, I've downloaded the Facebook app on my phone, which is a big deal.
Whoa.
I'm about to get back into Facebook. But anyway, you can now horizontally scroll at the top of podcasts on Google Podcasts. So you can now horizontally scroll on the top of Google Podcasts there. And I think it's a little bit better. At first, I hated it because it makes the episodes really prominent. But if you use it a little bit more, it surfaces things for you.
So does it just show the podcast that you're subscribed to, or does it have like recommendations?
Correct. There is now also things that are for you. So you can go in and you can find, for you, news, culture, business, sports are some of the settings. And then you can get notifications if your podcasts that are your favorite get a new one. You can keep auto downloading things. So far, I don't like the new interface, but I just don't like new interfaces in general. You know what I mean? So I think I probably will come around on this one. Next up from TechCrunch, hey, more Google Podcasts. If you're an iOS user, Google Podcasts is finally available on iOS. So Shep and Jess, you all can try this. It's something that has become, this is one thing I love from the article over on TechCrunch, is they said, launched last summer, the app quickly became the top podcasting app on Android, comma, because, comma, well, comma, Google. So if you are looking for a new podcast player, I think this Google Podcast might be worth testing out. And again, I'm forcing myself to use it, and I've come to appreciate it. Next up, let's just keep it podcast here. The podcast hour. Anchor, the platform that powers Marketing O'Clock here, has launched a new Record with Friends version 2.0. So while everybody has downtime now, there's a better way that you can call people up and record. It's much easier if you are an Anchor user. If you don't recall, Spotify bought Anchor last year, and they've been beefing up the capabilities, and this does look like a very nice new feature here. I do take umbrage with one aspect of the announcement, however. They showed people being home, like, hey, it's now a better time than ever to podcast, right? And there's one woman sitting on a very kind of modern rocking chair, and it seems like she's podcasting with somebody that is laying on their back on a couch. I can't think of something worse than laying down on a couch on your back to podcast. Are you guys on your backs laying down on a couch?
No,
Could you
not at
imagine
all.
it?
I feel like you sound different when you're on your back because your face is like gravity. But you also, Greg, you failed to mention that this woman in the nice rocking chair, she's living the Shep life. She's got a candle lit.
She
I
does
was going
have
to say that too. She looks like she's living the life. I think she has a salt lamp in the background. She's really taking care of number one, you know?
Yep, for sure. And this guy doesn't have a care in the world. He's got two perfectly fine chairs. He could get his posture game on. He could really get that deep vocal, and instead he's just laying on his back with his socks on the couch.
He also has a candle, but it's not lit. It's like half burned down. He is the antithesis of this woman.
It's the things that matter, right? All right, next up here over on Search Engine Journal from Matt Southern. YouTube has updates for creators. And these are very big updates for those that have live streams. And for the first time, YouTube users are going to be able to determine how many plays on a video came from a live stream versus a replay afterwards, which is pretty nice. I mean, we used to do some live video here for Marketing Clock. We've stopped so that we can edit some things. Now we don't even have video because we're all at home. But being able to see that boost from how many people look at it live versus how many people look at it afterwards, you can maybe see if that investment is worth it. You also be able to break the data down by live, premiere data, which you couldn't break out before, and then upload data from a traditional manner. So if you'll be able to look and see your numbers across the board for those three elements. Another new feature is going to be the expansion of smart replies. And this is an oxymoron on YouTube because there are no smart replies on YouTube. Have you ever been to YouTube? Comments are terrible. The comments are the worst. They're the worst. But you can reply with a one-click item, so you could say, yep, that's right, thanks, or whatever you want to do if you're a creator out there.
Maybe this will cut back on some of those garbage responses.
I hope so. The commenter should have the ability to smart reply. And it should just check them and say, did you really want to be a heckhead here? Like with this comment? You know? But anyway, you can reply smartly. And then lastly, there are YouTube memberships that are rolling out. It's going to be a Patreon-like subscription service. You're going to allow fans to pay a recurring fee to a channel in exchange for exclusive perks. And it's going to vary from channel to channel, just like Patreon. The perks have to be approved by YouTube's review team, and the article notes that it's limited at the moment due to the coronavirus pandemic. So I guess we have to work coronavirus into everything here this week. Next up, staying on trend, Google has suspended reviews on My Business. So if you have a Q&A or a review on a local business during the coronavirus outbreak, Google is pausing that. So if you haven't got reviews lately, don't fret. It's a Google thing where I think this makes sense to say, I went to a restaurant and it was closed. It's like I was closed because I was mandated to close, you know? There's a lot going on right now. This is probably in the best interest. And also from just a Google support system side of things, it's really tough. One thing I liked from the article over on Search Engine Roundtable from Barry Schwartz, Joy Hawkins, a joy bomb. Well, this isn't technically a joy bomb, but she said, in the meantime, I would suggest not asking people to leave reviews until it starts working again. I'll let you know when we hear back. That'd be good. You should ask people that are going to leave a bad review and be like, I'd suggest not asking you to leave a review. I'd suggest you not leaving a review. Next up, from Joy. This is a joy bomb. Joy Hawkins at Joyanne Hawkins on Twitter. She says, there is finally a temporarily closed button inside the Google My Business dashboard. So if you are not open right now, if you have been forced to close, you can now use this temporarily closed button.
I mean, geez, it only took a global pandemic. It's about time.
Jess, you're temporarily closed. Do you have this button checked on your local business?
No, because I didn't know about it. So thank you, Joy. I'm going to go do that. But I have been sitting there marking us as closed day by day by day for like a month now. So this is wonderful news.
Okay, just don't hit mark as permanently closed because it's criminally close on there. So make sure you hit the top item temporarily closed. All right, next up, there is a new search experience for COVID-19 on Google. We've talked about this for the last few weeks. There was a new website launched, and you can now see more resources over on google.com/COVID-19. And there's now a much more streamlined approach if you do a search on mobile or on desktop for something like coronavirus. So if you want more information, just hop over to your search engine and, well, as long as it's Google, and perform that search.
And this may be a spoiler alert, but this also works if you search coronavirus memes.
Really? Okay, more on that in the after show. All right, next up, YouTube is limiting, well, not really, but the article title says YouTube will limit video quality for everyone by default for a month. They're just changing the settings to go to standard mode. So if you still want your HD YouTube video, you can hop into your settings and flip that over. But if you had been HD, YouTube is changing this to be standard definition. And it's basically because the European Union regulators asked them to make the change to help ease the congestion because everybody's home. So if you need your HD, you can hop in and change it yourself. And last up, from Google and John Mueller, there's a very, very nice little tutorial about how to pause your business online. It's one thing that I don't think a lot of, especially the people that might have been impacted the most by some of these closures and this pandemic in general, like restaurateurs, traditionally don't have the most savvy skills from the webmaster standpoint. So there's a nice little tutorial. If you know people, it's probably worth sending along how to pause your business. So the main recommendation, and spoiler alert here, is that you want to limit the site functionality. So, can you make it so you can't add something to a cart and have something pop up? Like, how do you limit that site functionality while saving it? What you don't want to do is to just turn the entire site off, right? And so they talk about how this is bad. There's even some things like saying if you have to be down for some weird regulatory restrictions, use a 503 response. If you want to see somebody that does it wrong, it's a Burlington coat factory. If you go to burlington.com, the entire site's down. And that's something that's important. Like, don't let this setback, don't let this pandemic, don't let this hopefully hiccup in the economy tank you in the long run. So I really appreciate this helpful article from Google. Thank you, John.
Yeah, I don't want to rain on your parade, Greg, but they're more than great coats, and it's just called Burlington now.
Yeah, they dropped the coats.
Yeah.
Oh, they don't sell coats anymore. I didn't know.
Oh,
They
no,
do.
you don't want to spread misinformation. You can still buy coats.
I'm just trolling you. Okay. That's it for organic. Jess, what's going on in social?
All right. So last week I ended my social lightning with all the COVID news, and I didn't really like that. So I'm going to put it all at the front this week for you guys. First up, if you're using Facebook's Spark AR Hub to create filters and lenses, you may have noticed that approvals aren't going through. So creators can still use the software to work on their augmented reality projects, but Facebook has sent the folks that do the reviewing and approving home, and they can't approve or publish new effects remotely. So things aren't getting approved. They are actively exploring ways to offset this disruption and let creators get back to publishing. That's Facebook's words, but they haven't given a timeline on this yet. So if you are using that Spark AR Hub, updates on the situation will be released right within the platform. So just keep your eye out. They're going to try and get things moving for you as soon as possible. And next up, to help small businesses that have been hit the hardest by COVID closures, Yelp has teamed up with GoFundMe to add donation buttons to Yelp pages. And there are some eligibility requirements for this. Not everybody can do it. So check out the announcement in the show notes for details.
I think they missed a great opportunity to say, like, Yelp helps.
Oh my God, yeah.
Wow.
That's catchy.
Chef.
Free advice, Yelp.
Call me.
The other nice thing that they're doing, they didn't miss the opportunity to give extra help as Yelp. Yelp and GoFundMe have pledged to match donations up to $1 million. So that's huge. That's really, really nice to see. And you know what else is nice to see? A blue check mark on Twitter. Hopefully we'll be getting more of those, at least in the public health space, very soon. Jennifer Senior, which is a great name, by the way, a writer for the New York Times, called out Twitter last week, citing that there's a bunch of verified accounts out there spreading misinformation about COVID, while there's experts in the field that have remained unverified. So Twitter heard Miss Senior, or Mrs. Senior, and Twitter support tweeted the following in response. They said, PSA about what we're doing to verify Twitter accounts that are providing credible updates around hashtag COVID-19. We are working with global public health authorities to identify experts and have already verified hundreds of accounts, but there's more to do and we could use your help. So that's nice. They're trying where it matters most, but there's still obviously a lot of unanswered questions about the verification system in general, but that's okay. One thing at a time.
What is this blue check mark you speak of?
You have one.
Oh,
Yeah,
what?
seriously.
You snuck in at the very end before they took it away and got verified, and we're all super jealous of you.
I snuck in at the beginning. And my big beef with this whole thing is, if you can't verify people, don't have a system. Don't verify anyone. Make everybody unverified. It's insane that they've got a verification system that they can't use and they can't verify people. And then, like Shep said, there's a pandemic that you need to actually verify somebody.
So, straight from the horse's mouth, Twitter, you can take away Greg's verification.
Good
Ooh,
riddance.
shots fired. Next up here, Snapchat has moved up the launch of its new Here For You Mental Health Resource Center. They're doing this to help folks that might be struggling real hard during these trying times. Originally, the launch was scheduled to be in the coming months, which it was announced last month, so that's still several months from now, but not the case. Here For You is going to be available to all users this week. So that is really, really great that they moved that up, trying to help folks out. Finally, our last COVID-related story. Greg, it looks like you're not the only person going back to Facebook. So that's nice for the platform. Yeah, you're among friends, literally, pun intended. So the coronavirus revives Facebook as a news powerhouse, and that's according to New York Times. They obtained an internal report from the social network that noted more than half the articles being consumed on Facebook in the United States were related to the coronavirus, and that they've seen unprecedented increase in the consumption of news articles on Facebook over the past several weeks. The good news about this is that most of the content being consumed is from what Facebook considers to be high quality publishers. So thank goodness.
It's great that people are reading the right stories, but like that doesn't make them a news powerhouse.
Well, journalism. You got to have a good headline.
Yeah, I've also looked back at Facebook. I started lurking. I'm going to have to get back in. I'm going to have to start sharing things now that we've got this beautiful new website, marketingclock.com. But I don't see a lot of news there. I just see memes. I see coronavirus memes nonstop. I don't know if I followed the wrong people or what's happening. Maybe I was
Or the right
blaming
people.
on the algorithm like Shep or what?
Always blame it on the algorithm. All right, let's move on from COVID for a minute. We have some actual news stories that aren't related. So first up from TechCrunch, Instagram prototypes a Snapchat-style disappearing text messages. Yay. So this feature hasn't been released, but it was confirmed to be in the works by a Facebook spokesperson. So this is real. And the article notes that this could make users more comfortable with having rapid-fire, silly, vulnerable, or risque chats, thereby driving up the reply notifications that keep people opening Instagram all day long. I don't think that's something that I need personally. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but maybe the kids need it.
I don't need this at all.
No, get rid of it.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, you can get rid of it. They're going to be gone instantly. That's how this works. So anyway, it's another Snapchat ripoff, so maybe the kids want it.
Is
And
it like
speaking of
Cyberdust?
what?
Mark Cuban's app? Cyberdust? Do you remember that? You could
No,
just...
it's Snapchat.
Oh.
What is Cyberdust?
What is Cyberdust?
Mark Cuban came out with this app where you could just dust messages to people and you could never trace it, but you could actually trace everything. But you could just dust messages off and he called it dusting.
I don't like that term.
No.
Cyberdust.
Yeah. That's terrible.
Great. Bring it back.
No, don't. Creepy. All right. There's a new short form video app to be on the lookout for, and it's called Like or Likey. It's Likee.
It's like how you say bye.
Oh, like bye. So
Yeah.
like, see, to me that would have more I's than E's, but whatever. The app is out of Singapore, and it claims to already be the fourth most downloaded video app in the world. Maybe it is. I don't know. I'm no statistician, but they have announced their intention to push into the US, and there's really no better time than now for that, I guess, because people are getting bored and they want new apps to play with. But I mean, who knows if this will go anywhere? It's basically just another TikTok. You can apply filters to yourself. It looks fun, but it's like kind of something that already exists. So we'll see if anything happens. Do you guys remember Good Copy, Bad Copy?
How could I forget?
No,
No.
I don't.
Yes, you do. It's the stretch of a pun program that Twitter is using to give marketers tips on how to tweet. It's our favorite
Oh,
thing.
yes. That's from 2 weeks ago. Sorry, a lot's happened since then.
That's okay. I know it feels like forever ago. Anyway, they're back with more tips. And the key takeaway this time is basically capitalize the words in your hashtags to make them easier to read, especially if it's part of the tweet itself, not just appended at the end. So I try to do this personally anyway, but it's so much more work.
Yeah, and I was doing it for a while, but I couldn't tell if it was the right thing to do or not.
Yeah, it's certainly not the way they're suggested when they pop up. They're all in lowercase, right? Or is that just my experience? They totally are.
Is this something that's that big of a problem? Like, figure it out. It's not that hard, right? Like,
I mean,
is this what we're taking? Is this what we're burning calories on today? This is it?
yes. Yes, it is.
I don't know. After the show, I want to hashtag blame it on the algorithm. So I'm trying to like look at it in my head and see how hard it would be.
Well, make sure you capitalize it. And honestly, this is a little bit refreshing, right? We're arguing about capitalizing hashtags. This is a welcomed first world problem when we've got real things. So I shouldn't poop all over this one.
Yeah, you're right. It's hashtag capital W worth, hashtag capital I it. There you have it. All right. That was really hard. See, it's more work. Anyway, I like that good bad theme, so we're going to stick with it. In good Facebook news, the desktop refresh that Facebook announced almost a year ago now is finally available to all users globally. So you might remember or not, because it's been a really long time since we talked about it. The new layout is meant to align the desktop version more closely with what users experience on mobile. So it's not being forced on anyone yet, but if you want to turn it on, you can, and then you can turn it back off if you don't like it. But again, who knows how long that'll be a thing. They've also got dark mode, if that's your thing. Bad news from Facebook. They are facing a lawsuit that is accusing them of knowingly inflating ad audience numbers. And according to the Wall Street Journal, Facebook claims, and this is a quote, estimates weren't guarantees, didn't harm customers, And court filings include employees worrying about possible lawsuit in an email. So that's interesting. I guess we'll see what comes of that, but I've had enough with bad news, so I don't really want to talk about this. And we'll move on to more good news from Facebook. Again, the platform has launched a pilot program that basically hooks up a user's profile with their loyalty program membership from brands like Sephora. I don't know what is their, Shep, do you know what their program is called?
Is it Beauty Insider or something?
That sounds right. That sounds right. So if you have the Beauty Insider card or whatever, you can hook it up with your Facebook profile. And according to Social Media Today, once connected, members will be able to track the status of their brand loyalty account via Facebook. They'll also be able to earn points for their on-platform activity, get member discounts on purchases, and have any points for online shopping linked back to their customer ID. Those all sound like really great things, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So as of now, it's only available to a few businesses like Sephora, but the impact of this could be huge for anyone who is in the program, especially right now because nobody's walking into Sephora and trying on lipstick. Everything they're doing is online. So hopefully this will roll out wider soon, but even though not every single business out there has a loyalty program, those that do could get a really nice boost for this, and we all need a boost right now. So I'm all about this. I hope they roll this out to more folks soon.
That's one thing I don't think is ever coming back, like lipstick testing. I think events hopefully will come back. I hope lipstick testing doesn't.
I don't know.
I never participated. Did you, Shep?
Not lipstick testing, but like you really do need to try like your foundation on. I mean, a lot of this stuff is expensive, and I'm sorry, I know there's a lot of germs, but like you have to know it matches.
Yeah, I get the logic. I just still wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I was telling
Not
my
for me.
wife.
I don't wear foundation
Plus,
either.
it's like a really easy way to get like, you just want to be pampered and you don't want to pay for it. So you'll go to the store and like pretend you're buying new foundation. You'll just be like, oh, what do you think would look good on my eyes? And then we'll try something.
Not for me.
And that brings us to our real life segment, straight out of our accounts and into your ear holes. It's time for Working Hard or Hardly Working, where we talk about what's going on in our IRL work, good, bad, or otherwise.
All right, Shep, what's been happening with your accounts lately?
So I was reminded of one of my favorite tricks in Google Ads Editor this week, so I just wanted to share with the class for anyone who doesn't know. So if you take a broad match keyword and use the find and replace, you can really easily change it to broad match modified. So all you have to do is select the keywords you want to change and find and replace spaces to space and then a plus sign, and it'll add it to all the words except for the first word. But to fix that, you use the append feature, which is, if you don't know where it is, it's like right in the same button as the find and replace feature. It's part of the drop-down menu, and you append a plus sign to the beginning of each keyword, and it'll get rid of all those yucky broad match keywords and turn them into broad match modified. And I forgot about it until this week, so it's awesome. What about you, Jess?
So I mentioned a couple episodes now ago, I think, when we first started talking about having to work remote, we talked about not putting meetings on hold while you're working remotely. So we've been practicing that with our clients, obviously, because this is the new reality and we're going to be remote for a while. And I've really found that where meetings used to be kind of blah and you could sense that people were distracted or multitasking or not really there, people are really, really appreciating the human connection right now. And our meetings or calls, if you will, have been super productive with clients. And it's only been, a week to 2 weeks, depending on the client who's remote and who's not. So we've actually seen some positivity come out of this. And also I got to see one of our clients' cats on a video call this week, which honestly was the highlight of my day. His name was Roy and he was super cute. And I just appreciate, normally it's how's the weather, and small talk like that. But little things like seeing someone's cat is just so much more valuable to continuing to build that relationship and just keeping the we're all in this together mentality going. So again, don't skimp out on meetings. You will connect more with your clients, especially now when people really, really need it. And again, be more productive. So how about you, Greg?
Yeah, for me, I think I guess I talked about this earlier, that things have been very volatile just across the board. Look at the stock market, look at your search queries, right? And even the intent and just the way that people are consuming is just different than it was a month ago. And it's something we've seen on smart bidding campaigns on Google Ads specifically and Microsoft, right? So if you have had a campaign that's been doing really, really well and all of a sudden stops, you might need to reset and acclimate to the new reality. This is something I will blame on the algorithm, Shep, that you've got this long-standing track record that is of a different time frame than March 2020, than April 2020. So if you start seeing declines, it's on you to experiment and do right by your client. And it's something as well that is where you can provide that value, right? Where people are uncertain, people don't know what's happening, there's people are trying to tighten their belts. You need to provide value and you need to show that. And it's something that we've been pivoting on, that this has worked for the longest time, target ROAS, not working now. We're going back to ECPC. We're going to build it back up. The algorithm is not the same today as it was the past year.
Now it's time for this week's WTH.
Misguided.
Like, who does that?
Just get rid of it. I'm over it.
Where we rant, rave, and roll our eyes about a trending digital marketing topic.
What are we coming to?
Honestly.
See what had us asking
WTH
this week.
This week's WTH comes to us from Josh Constantine and TechCrunch. So I used Zoom to play trivia last Friday night with some friends, and I guess I'm not alone because there is a huge trend of public Zooms where I guess the link is shared on social media and anyone can join. So The Verge hosted a weekly public WFH happy hour Zoom call, and on last week's call, the attendees were trolled by some NSF WFH videos. They were Zoom bombed, I'm sorry to say. So the host kept kicking them out, but because it was public, all they had to do was rejoin with a different username and they could share these bad images or videos again with their screen share. So the problem is that by default, a Zoom host does not have to grant participants special access to screen share. Anyone can do it unless the host changes the settings. So anyone can just get in there and share whatever they want unless the host turns it off. And people are just being really unsavory and savage about this, I guess. I don't know what's wrong with a good old Rickroll and why we couldn't just bring that back, but instead people are just being disgusting.
Desperate times,
Because
Shep.
it's the internet, Shep.
Desperate times.
So one of the hosts was quoted in this article saying, "I want to apologize to our attendees, including my parents, Jim and Sally." Of course, that's their names. Who joined WFH Happy Hour today for the first time. Today, we all learned an important lesson about disabling screen sharing and saw once again the importance of good content moderation. So if you're hosting one of these Zoom parties, make sure you know who has sharing access.
I bet, though, overall, that this was a net positive for Josh and TechCrunch because they got a great article out of it. They started a new thing, Zoom bombing. I mean, they own that now, right? They own Zoom bombing. And overall, like, this is a great example of lemonade and lemons.
Jim and Sally, they'll remember for sure.
Oh, yeah, they will.
All right, now on to our segment where we have some ideas. We let them sit around and see what sticks. And first up is show notes. And we're going to talk about any of the marketing shows that are around the corner. And there is a new SEJ Summit 2020. If you are a overly cautious person or just don't want to be around large quantities of people, good news for you because this is virtual. It's on Tuesday, June 2nd. Yeah, Tuesday, 2020. And it's going to be virtual with a bunch of big names, some not released. I talked over to Search Engine Journal today. So check it out. You can go get more information on this. You can sign up for the latest updates on this SEJ Summit. So check that out. And another note is HTC is pivoting to host their annual conference in VR. And that's the only reason it's on here is because who cares about I didn't even know HTC is still around, but you can now go to their conference in virtual reality. So I think that's cool. I want to have conferences in like that turntable FM style where everybody's just out there jamming to the music. We're all avatars, having a good time. I mean, I already got my Bitmoji on fleek. Let's go with this thing. Let's go.
Oh my God, did you say on fleek?
Yeah. That's what the kids say, right? Or maybe the kids said, 5 years ago.
Maybe when we were kids.
Okay. All right, next up is our freebie segment and Yelp's COVID-19 response and support for local businesses. If you haven't heard, they have announced $25 million in relief, primarily focusing on supporting independent local restaurant and nightlife businesses. Now, the catch is it's not $25 million in cash. It's in the form of waived advertising fees, free advertising, products, and services during this period. So if you're a small business that has been affected, you need all the wins you can get, and this is an easy one. Free advertising, check it out. There's a form you can fill out and hopefully get that. So check that out. Thank you, Yelp, for that. Next up comes from Cyrus Shepard from Maz at Cyrus Shepard on Twitter. And he says, as of now, all premium SEO training courses at Maz Academy are 100% free. A small thing, but we did this to help SEOs become more marketable in the workforce, business with local SEO, and agencies to get more leads. You have to use the code WeGotThis through May 31st over at Maz.com/training.
That's a good code.
Yeah.
That code.
No, it's not, because it is all lowercase, Jess. And as a wise woman just told me, it should be uppercase, but it's code all lowercase. We got this over at Maz.com/training. And the tutorials there are very good. So if you're trying to get into something, if you've got things thrown on your lap, if you know somebody that's complaining about it, this is the time where we need to come together and help everybody out. So big ups to Maz on that. Ups? Jess, what is that? 6 years ago? 10 years ago? Ups?
Is ups like props?
Hey, big ups.
Big ups. Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'm just going to keep
I don't remember that at all.
All right, next up, something not that heavy, just going back to the 80s here, is from Dom Hodgson at The Hodge on Twitter. And he had put together something called the Search Starter Pack. SearchStarterPack.com. And if you want access to tools and services for a few months, he has combined or collaborated, I guess, with a bunch of tool services to help people out, test out tools to do better for their clients for a few months during these tough times. So again, head over to the show notes for that or check it out on searchstarterpack.com. And lastly, here in the freebie section, Udacity is contributing 1 free month of access to their nano degree programs. And Udacity is a pretty big deal from an online learning standpoint. You can get all sorts of tutorials on learning how to code, digital marketing. There's a slew of different options in Udacity. We use it here at Cypress North for people that we bring on and interns and things like that. You get 1 free month of access to these programs, and you can come out with a nano degree that you can put on your resume in 1 month. And it's easy to get down in a time like this. So any wins that you can give yourself, anything that you can force a schedule on, like let's say you've been displaced or laid off, if you can come out of it and say, you know what, I've got a free month of this and I'm going to have this check that I can put on a resume. I mean, this is what we need to do right now. So big thanks to Udacity, to Maz, to Yelp, to everything like this. This is one of the best parts of this community in general, is the overall support. Next up is our Good Sheet segment. And this week comes from Zato Marketing at PPC Kirk on Twitter, Kirk Williams. The spicy Kirk is now the helpful Kirk, is he has a Microsoft Ads, the platform formerly known as Bing Ads, in-market audience list. If you are looking to find the different ways you can target folks, he has got 598 lines of targeting. Just 598 different ways you can use Bing. Oh, just caught myself. Did you guys hear that? It's formerly Bing Ads.
Oh, wow.
Microsoft advertising on how you can target folks on Microsoft advertising.
And now for this week's
Cool Tool.
As a reminder, our Cool Tool segment is not an official endorsement or paid mention. We're simply sharing something we found in our travels that may be of use to our listeners and is really, really cool.
This week's Cool Tool comes to us by way of BFF of the show, Glenn Gabe. And it's a hot tip from Mike Sullivan of Analytics Edge. So for anyone that has been excluding internal traffic from their Google Analytics by filtering out their office IP, that's obviously not going to work while your workforce is remote. So Mike offered a solution And he said, send your employees to a page used for internal purposes only, aka something the general public does not have access to. And then you can create a segment in GA that excludes users who have been to that page, and then use that segment to filter your reporting. It's a temporary solution, but it's a great one. And we've got a screenshot of exactly how this is set up in the show notes. You can head on over to our site or hit up at Analytics Edge on Twitter and check it out.
Brilliant.
Now it's time for our must-read marketing article of the week. An article so advanced, so in-depth, so detailed that we simply cannot cover it in its entirety on today's show.
And this week's must-read marketing article of the week comes to us from Ahrefs and Michael Pecknick on Ahrefs' blog. And there is an article called How Often Does Google Rewrite Meta Descriptions? A New Data Study. Michael runs through and looks at one of the things, it's a good statistical analysis of meta descriptions in general. He found that more than 25% of top ranking pages don't have a meta description, which is crazy. Who would have thought that? It's crazy.
Crazy.
Then talks about the fact that 62% of the time Google is rewriting those meta descriptions, goes on to do a deep dive looking at things like long tail keywords versus what he called fathead keywords. And it's, if you have an interest in meta descriptions, this is a must read. So thank you, Michael.
All right, that does it for today's show.
Thank you to our fantastic sponsors. In a time like this, you need some tools to help you out, especially if you're short-staffed or got extra things on your plate. So big thanks to Ahrefs and Optio.
And if you're looking for another great podcast, don't miss this week's episode of the Search Engine Journal Show.
And this week, it literally, that phrase, literally, is overused a lot. This is literally everyone's favorite person. Casey Gillette from Co-Marketing. She's on with Brent Satoris talking about just customer service and search. Casey is just the best. She's so funny, but it's a great interview. Check it out over on the Search Engine Journal Show. You will not regret it. It is now officially not Marketing O'Clock.
Remember, you can catch everything from this show on marketingoclock.com.
The new marketingoclock.com. And while you're there, please be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode.
And we will see you next week.